Do I want to change my name? I'm not sure they're talking to me or you, but if you're asking me, no. Ellen, my name is just fine.
And if you're asking me, I would be more than happy to change it to Gypsy Rose Urker. You're crazy.
Is that a no, Ken? It's not a no.
That is not a no.
Everyone's saying awkward.
That's how we are, though. We always play with each other like that.
I love it. I love it.
Gypsy Rose is back on live, and you already know the internet is dissecting every second. But this time, the drama isn't about her post-prison shenanigans. It's all about her relationship with Ken. The million-dollar question, why hasn't he put a real ring on it yet? Fans went into full-blown wedding mode after Gypsy posted a Valentine's Day photo of Ken rocking a ring on that finger. But plot twist, Gypsy says it's not a wedding band, just a promise ring she gave him last year. So either Ken is really into sentimental jewelry, or there's more to the story. Before we get into the tea though, if you love deep dives like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications, and give this video a big thumbs up. And of course, let me know in the comments, do you think Ken is taking his time, or is something else going on here? Let's talk about it.
Am I married? No. No, Ken and I are not married. I know people had seen his promise ring in the picture that I posted for Valentine's Day, but no, we're not married. I never wanted to make him feel like he is stuck with me. That is not what I want. I'm like, I want you to be with me because you are happy in this relationship. You want this relationship. Just because we have a child together does not mean you're obligated to stay with me. There are lots of options for us. If you don't want this child, I will be the mother. That is my responsibility. That's your choice if you want to show up.
Gypsy has made it crystal clear that she wants this to work. She left Ryan, got pregnant for Ken, and even gave him a promised ring. But if she's all in, why hasn't Ken matched that energy with a real commitment? Why does it feel like he's holding back? And let's be real, does he even take this relationship seriously? From what we've seen, the chemistry between Gypsy and Ken has been feeling off since she got out. Gypsy has been vocal about her commitment, but Ken, he's been looking emotionally checked out. Anytime the topic of marriage comes up, his response is always some vague, not yet excuse. In a live session, he brushed it off by saying, "We still have some stages to get through." But let's be honest, how long are these stages supposed to last? Gypsy's own words on the Vile Files podcast seemed pretty revealing. She made a point to say she wasn't forcing Ken into anything, emphasizing that the decision was completely up to him. But if they were truly on the same page about taking things slow, wouldn't she have framed it differently? Instead, she put all the responsibility on Ken, subtly hinting that she's been waiting on him to make a move. So, what's really going on here?
How did it feel, Ken, when Gypsy came to you and said, exactly what she said in terms of in what capacity she wanted you in her life?
Going back to that moment of when we realized we were pregnant, for me, it was like, okay, well, it's time to buckle down now and get prepared to, or start to prepare to be a father. So at the time I was living in Dallas, I was living in a house. I had a full-time job that I had been at for over 2 years. And I realized that, it's time to move. I need to be in Louisiana to be as close to her as possible to get her, so we can be together to get through this process.
Something is definitely off with Ken and Gypsy, and fans are picking up on it. From his distant demeanor to his almost robotic interactions, people are starting to wonder, does Ken even want to be in this relationship, or is he just going through the motions? Sources close to the situation suggest that Ken has been increasingly withdrawn, avoiding deep conversations and steering clear of any discussions about the future. Fans have noticed too, pointing out how his energy around Gypsy feels cold, almost like he's fulfilling an obligation rather than genuinely enjoying her company. And the body language, even experts are chiming in. Analysts who have reviewed their public interactions say Ken often maintains physical distance, rarely showing authentic affection. His posture, his facial expressions, and his minimal engagement in social settings all scream one thing: he might not be as invested as people thought. Even in casual moments caught on social media, Ken seems disengaged, adding even more fuel to the speculation. Could this be a sign of deeper issues he's not expressing, or is this relationship already on borrowed time? Fans are watching closely, and the signs aren't looking good.
So, I did not expect the pregnancy at all. I mean, obviously there was some physical symptoms that came about around that time, and then I had taken a test and it came back positive. I was very shocked. At first, I was looking at it and I ran into the living room and I'm like, Christy, what does this say? Because I wanted confirmation that
You weren't crazy.
I wasn't crazy. So.
Ken's attitude toward Gypsy's pregnancy is raising serious eyebrows. And honestly, the math isn't mathing. At the start of their relationship, he was quick to pop the question. Yet the second a baby entered the equation, all that urgency vanished. Suddenly, he's stalling, dodging, and seemingly allergic to commitment. It's giving romantic honeymoon phase energy at first. But now that real-life responsibilities are knocking, is Ken getting cold feet? Fans can't help but notice the inconsistencies. One minute, he's the doting partner. The next, he's distant and detached. So what's really going on? Is the weight of Gypsy's post-prison life too much for him to handle? Or is he simply not as invested as she is? And if he's not, then why is he still here? Is this about love? Or is there something else keeping him tied to this relationship? Because from the outside looking in, Ken's behavior is looking a little too convenient.
Right, I already told you Ken and Gypsy broke up. Okay, that's a fact. Ken is allegedly back in Texas for sure, allegedly. It's been alleged that he's at his mama's. So he's with Miss Raina, allegedly. Now, I've heard that he has only been in Louisiana a couple of times last month for filming, and he's been MIA ever since. So when y'all said homeboy is like, where's Waldo? He ain't never lie. Listen, I think Ken was like a runaway slave on that highway to get back to Texas, child.
Looks like Ken's mom might have just spilled some tea on why the wedding bells aren't ringing just yet. Raina hopped on Sir Morbid's live and dropped a take that's got everyone talking. Ken and Gypsy are apparently hitting the pause button on marriage because they're still figuring each other out. And let's not forget, their pregnancy wasn't exactly planned. Now, this just adds fuel to the speculation that Ken might be feeling a little stuck. Is he truly in this for the long haul? Or is he only staying because of the baby? Let's break it all down.
The child is being named after me. So,
Really?
yes,
Raina is the name.
one of the names. Her
Middle.
the bullshit middle name, but still, I'll take it.
Okay, well that's
Do
cool.
you-
So,
Do you think that this child will have any form of a normal life?
You know, I know as far as I am concerned, and my son is concerned, that and Gypsy is concerned, that is what we will strive for. You know,
well, Raina, you gotta.
Realistically, you know that that's not going to happen.
Yeah, you
because-
have to accept reality that this.
Yeah.
Especially if she's putting the child on social media.
but we're going to do the best we can with what we have.
It looks like the fairy tale might be cracking before it even starts. While Gypsy has been all in, ready to build a solid future, Ken? Not so much. Sources close to the couple claim he's been keeping things at arm's length. And honestly, the signs have been there all along. Insiders say that while Gypsy is eager to lock things down, Ken has been noticeably hesitant. Some speculate he's struggling with how fast his life has changed, going from a low-profile existence to being thrown into the spotlight thanks to Gypsy's notoriety. And let's be real, the pressure of social media expectations, plus the reality of co-parenting, is probably overwhelming him. Even Gypsy seems to know he's pulling away. In a recent interview, she touched on the challenges of raising a child together and subtly hinted that Ken wasn't as emotionally available as she had hoped. So, the question is, will he step up, or is he already halfway out the door?
To me, that doesn't sound like a couple that's together. She's made several other comments recently using the words co-parenting with Ken and hints here and there that it's just going to be her. And I know a lot of people are thinking, who cares, right? But Gypsy Rose will be a single mother to a child in her care. Just Gypsy. Hopefully, at least, Christy and Rod can step in, help her. Because that was the one thing we were at least kind of leaning on is, well, Ken's been...
When Ken first reconnected with Gypsy while she was still incarcerated, he wasted no time. He proposed almost immediately. Back then, there were no outside pressures, no responsibilities, just the nostalgia of rekindling an old flame. Fast forward to now, and the stakes are completely different. They have a child linking them for life, yet Ken hasn't given her so much as a new promise ring, let alone proposed again. That's a serious shift in behavior. So, what's changed? Is he realizing that being with Gypsy isn't what he imagined? Is the intensity of her fame in their relationship making him rethink everything? Because let's be real, if he was all in before, why the hesitation now?
By the way, Ken texted me.
Too late, buddy.
Just think that I would be happier somewhere else.
Well, don't call Ken. You're probably already talking to him anyway.
Let's talk about the viral moments that have people raising their eyebrows. That scene at the San Francisco airport? Yikes. Ken looked frustrated and completely disengaged while talking to Gypsy, like he'd rather be anywhere else. Then there was their TMZ interview, where his body language was basically screaming, "Get me out of here." Crossed arms, no eye contact, tense expressions. It was giving hostage situation more than happy couple. And let's not forget that throughout all this, Gypsy was glowing, smiling, and fully leaning into the attention, while Ken looked like he wanted the ground to swallow him whole. But awkward body language isn't the only thing fueling speculation. Ken might also be hesitant because of how Gypsy's past relationships have ended. Remember, she was married to Ryan Anderson for only 2 years before dropping him for Ken. At first, she spoke highly of Ryan, but after the breakup, she accused him of being controlling, abusive, and, according to her, lacking in the intimacy department. That sudden narrative shift might be making Ken nervous. What if history repeats itself? What if he marries Gypsy, things go south, and suddenly he's the next man she publicly drags? The possibility of being turned into her next villain might be enough to make him pump the brakes on any long-term commitments. Then there's the fact that Ken does not seem built for the level of exposure that comes with dating Gypsy. Ever since her release from prison, she's been a full-blown media spectacle. Every move she makes gets dissected, and not everyone could handle that kind of scrutiny. Some people thrive in the spotlight, but Ken, he looks like he's barely surviving. He's uncomfortable in interviews, awkward on social media, and visibly tense whenever cameras are around. Unlike Gypsy, who has learned to navigate the media circus, Ken seems to be drowning in it. And let's be real, a relationship where privacy is non-existent can be a nightmare if you're not built for that life. Beyond the media frenzy, there's also the reality that Gypsy's fame isn't your typical celebrity fame. It's built on a dark, controversial past, and that means Ken's own life is now permanently tied to her story. Marrying Gypsy wouldn't just mean marrying her. It would mean signing up for a lifetime of internet obsession, public scrutiny, and endless speculation. Does Ken really want to be a co-star in Gypsy's ongoing media saga, or is he looking for an exit before he gets in too deep? At this point, it's hard to say what Ken's next move will be, but one thing is clear. He doesn't seem like a man who's fully locked in. Whether he's trying to make things work or secretly planning his escape, one thing's for sure. This relationship is looking shakier by the day.
So that's what makes it hard to...
I can tell you from personal experience, if it's not there from the start, it's never going to be there. At least that's how it was for me. So it is something that you do have to prioritize your own happiness. Regardless, y'all can still co-parent and be good parents at that. But to try and make yourself happy with someone that you're not in love with in that way, I did not realize how much attraction matters in a relationship, because I was prioritizing, the heart that I saw and, the love that I felt, but it was a different type of love. And I thought that it eventually grow to be this, wonderful, romantic, fiery relationship. And I never got there. So definitely prioritize yourself. It's not selfish.
I think something also to...
People have been side-eyeing Ken for a while now, mainly because he never seems all that into Gypsy. In almost every public photo, she's the one leaning in, smiling, and trying to engage, while he just stands there stiff, neutral, or looking anywhere but at her. The energy imbalance is painfully obvious, and it's led many to believe that Ken is just going through the motions rather than actually wanting to be with her. And if you think that's just a coincidence, his social media doesn't do him any favors either. Gypsy constantly posts about Ken and their baby, flooding her page with sweet captions and heartfelt compliments. Ken, on the other hand, barely posts about her at all. And when he does, the captions are dry, the emotions are lacking, and it all just feels off. Fans have pointed out that there's a major emotional disconnect here, and whatever is going on between them is missing the natural chemistry that makes relationships feel real. And it's not just online, people have noticed it in their real-life interactions too. Even at big public moments like their baby shower, Ken looked visibly checked out. While Gypsy was excited and engaged, Ken was reportedly staring off into the distance, barely responding to her, and carrying himself like a man who would rather be anywhere else. It's the kind of energy that makes people wonder, why is he even still here? And that's where things get interesting. According to content creator Nina, sources claim that Ken and Gypsy actually broke up before the baby shower, but were allegedly required to stay together for the filming of Life After Lockup Season 2. If that's true, it would explain a lot, from Ken's distant behavior to his lack of emotional investment. Reality TV contracts are known to be strict, often forcing participants to maintain appearances for the sake of drama and audience engagement. If Ken is under contract, he might not even be allowed to publicly announce a breakup or leave the relationship without facing major financial or legal consequences.
A couple days ago, I went to the bedroom, woke Ryan up. I said, I need to tell you something. He said, half asleep. I said, I miss Ken.
He must have woke up quick.
He did, and he was like, you need to let that go. You need to let him go. You are married. And I'm like, I know I am, but I think that we both need to come to terms with the fact that I have two men in my heart, and he's still there in my heart. This is the day before Valentine's Day, too. Not only did I call Ken 2 weeks before the wedding, but the conversation that Ken and I had, I was honest with Ryan about it. I asked Ken, I said, if you don't want me to get married, then you need to tell me now.
And what he told you?
And he told me that I want you to do what makes you happy. I think you should wait. But he didn't say wait for me. If he would have said wait for me,
you wouldn't.
Speculation is swirling that production may have encouraged certain narratives, possibly pressuring Ken and Gypsy to stay together just long enough to complete their season. Reality TV thrives on plot twists and unresolved drama, and their dysfunctional dynamic is the perfect material to keep audiences glued to their screens. But this raises an even bigger issue. How much of their relationship is genuine, and how much is being orchestrated for television? If Ken has truly wanted to leave but contractual obligations have kept him tethered to Gypsy, it would explain why he seems so emotionally distant in public. The pressure to maintain an image for the cameras while privately dealing with a fractured relationship could be taking a major toll on him. And let's be real, once those cameras stop rolling, is he actually planning to stick around? His behavior is giving, I'm out the second my contract ends. But that's not even the wildest part. Another theory floating around revolves around Ken's sexuality. Allegations surfaced when a man named Steve claimed he met Ken on Grindr and that they hooked up multiple times. Ken, of course, aggressively denied the claims, but Steve doubled down, insisting Ken even left some of his belongings at his place. Then another man, known as Cobby Bear, came forward with similar accusations, alleging that he and Ken had met up under discreet circumstances more than once. With multiple people now claiming the same thing, the internet went into full speculation mode. The accusations have fueled questions about Ken's true orientation and whether his relationship with Gypsy is, at least in part, a way to counteract these rumors. Some pointed out that his overly defensive response to the allegations seemed a little too much, adding to the suspicion that he might be hiding something. Others believe that staying with Gypsy helps him maintain a more traditional public image, shielding him from further scrutiny about his personal life. After all, in an era where social media can make or break someone's reputation, Ken might be strategically holding on to his relationship with Gypsy to control the narrative, whether or not it reflects his reality.
How much more time do we?
An hour plus?
Hour?
Yeah, hour plus.
Yes,
See, I'm the kind of person who wants to get here 1 hour before takeoff, but you're the kind of person who wants to get here 3 hours. And this is exactly what happened. We ended up sitting at a fucking terminal for 2 hours.
But you could always go shopping at the little gift shop.
Who wants to go shopping at an airport? Who wants to spend 3 times the price on a...
I liked.
Ken entered Gypsy's life at the perfect moment, right as she became a media sensation. And if you ask her ex Ryan, Ken only got back with her for clout. Before reconnecting with Gypsy, Ken was just a bartender in Texas, living a modest life with no real public attention. But the second Gypsy was released, he packed his bags and moved to Louisiana, right in time to join her new reality TV storyline. Coincidence? Or an opportunity too good to pass up? Staying with Gypsy gives Ken exposure, and let's be real, that exposure means money. More social media followers, more brand deals, more reality TV screen time, more paychecks, and let's not forget that these reality contracts often reward couples who stay together for the season, guaranteeing more drama for the cameras. If Ken knows all of this, would he really walk away before he's cashed in on every opportunity? Then there's the biggest mystery of all, the baby.
Oh. That's the shitty part about living in cutoff. I mean, I like living with my family, don't get me wrong, but it kind of sucks whenever you can't live with your partner and you guys share a kid together. So it's like I can spend a couple days here at Ken's, but then I have to go back home, and then also it changes her environment. So the first day, wherever I'm gonna be staying at, if I'm staying my first night back in cutoff, she's very fussy because it's a new environment. It's a new old environment, I call it. So it's changing her from one crib to the crib that I have at home, and then come back here, and then I have a crib here for her. So it's a lot to adjust to. Where it's cutoff? Cutoff is if you live in Louisiana, everybody knows where Homa is. So it's...
Some people don't even believe the child exists. There's been no public proof, no official photos, no documents, no anything. And Gypsy's pregnancy was full of inconsistencies. Some online detectives swear her baby bump seemed to shrink and grow overnight, fueling rumors that this was all a publicity stunt to keep the media talking. If the baby is real, though, Ken might be staying out of obligation, even if he looks completely over it. A child changes everything. Leaving now would make him look heartless. And if Gypsy is pressuring him to stay, along with the public, he might feel stuck in a situation he doesn't even want to be in. Some believe the baby is the only thing keeping them together, and without it, Ken would have dipped a long time ago. The more we dig into their relationship, the more obvious it seems Ken isn't here for a happily ever after. Whether it's fear, financial security, or contract obligations keeping him around, one thing is clear: this is no fairy tale romance. But hey, maybe I'm just overthinking it. What do you guys think? Is Ken sticking around for love, or is he just waiting for the direct deposit to hit before making his exit? Are they already broken up and just letting the show reveal it for maximum drama? Drop your wildest theories in the comments. I'll be reading, laughing, and probably gasping right along with y'all. And while you're here, don't forget to like the video if you had a good time, subscribe if you want the tea served hot and fresh, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update. Because let's be real, this situation is messier than my sleep schedule, and you do not want to be the last to know.